Hello, this is Leonard Rich, Superintendent of the Laurel School District and Administrative Director of the Lawrence County Career and Technical Center. Again, bringing you a rather small history lesson. Today, it is about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the celebration in honor of his day. I'm old enough to remember a time when there was no MLK Day. I'm old enough to remember a time where perhaps we had school on MLK Day and it became a day on, if you will, with an opportunity to remember and to recognize and to refresh on who he was and what his accomplishments were. But lately it becomes a day off. And while we are snowed in and trying to stay warm, I believe we have an obligation to remember who he was, what he did, and what his message is. And are we working as a society, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, etc.? Are we working towards his dream? I'm not so sure, actually. So let me share just a couple things with you if you'll be patient. Again, I believe it's important to remember and preserve his day. Now, of interest, if you Google, look up the King Center, okay? It is the organization that is operated by the estate of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, this is the organization that continues to advance his principles and work towards his dream. But I wanted to bring your attention to this particular observance for 2022. It starts with me, right? And obviously, it starts with you. And what are the words inside of me? I see justice. I see respect. I see truth. I see integrity, compassion. Is that what we do today to one another? Are we compassionate towards one another? Do we have empathy for one another? Do we respect one another? Think about the last things you viewed on whatever social media silo you are in. What emotions did that social media bring out? I tend to believe that today's social media and therefore today's messaging becomes one of disrespect, becomes one of individualism, becomes one of a lack of compassion, and ironically is the antithesis of his dream because we are segregating voluntarily. We segregate based upon belief. It could be politically left, it could be politically right, but we go into our silos and have no tolerance, have no empathy, have no knowledge, have no compassion for one another. Don't forget, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a reverend of the Baptist faith. He was a man of God who believed in salvation and believed in the resurrection. We ought not minimize that. That is part of who he was. A reverend, a father, a husband, a political activist who believed in non-violence, who believed in non-violence. I hope you take some time and digest. And primarily, I'm speaking to the 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? But this is just another history lesson. I want it to be more than just another history lesson. The King Center, what is their vision? We envision the beloved community where injustice ceases and love prevails. Now, they could choose any imagery they wanted for that. But what I see is a group of white children. Dr. King was looking for all of us to be included into the beloved community, black or white. As part of the beloved community, they will be celebrating the 2022 Beloved Community Awards. And look at the depth and breadth of these award winners. I believe through ignorance and a lack of understanding that we think a black leader would have black awards and a white leader would have white awards, and a particular religious leader would have religious awards within their faith, etc. And again, that just becomes splinters and division. Look at his beloved community and the winners in that beloved community. Cammie Anderson, a white woman. Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, obviously a black minister. Malala Yousafzai, and I apologize if I mispronounced her last name, but we know her as the young woman who stood up in Afghanistan for the rights of women. Rashad Robinson, Simone Biles, Daniel Lizbetsky, Dr. Joy Bulawini, I'm doing my best, and Mark Benoff. People of different gender, people of different color, people of different belief, but all part of the beloved community. Dr. King's dream was founded in his principles of nonviolence to secure civil rights was rooted in love and designed to uplift all of humanity, black and white, male and female, you fill in the blanks. He often referenced our political founding, that all men were created equal. And certainly when the founders wrote that, all white men over 21 who owned property perhaps were more equal than others. But in his time, some 150 years later, the definition of men and the definition of equality has grown. And have we grown it in the last 60 years? He spoke to the entire community. He had a message of ending segregation. Judge one another based on the content of character instead of the color of one's skin. Let me expand that. Judge one another based upon the content of character instead of one's creed. Judge one another based upon the content of character instead of one's gender. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Judge one another based upon the content of character. Now, I would ask you to take the next 17 minutes that I think would be the best 17 minutes of your day. But I'm going to show you 5 of the best 17 minutes that I think you'll spend today.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghanies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
I don't know how you hear that and you're not moved to reflect upon your own existence. I'm certainly no Dr. King. But wow, we were blessed to have him on this world. We were blessed to have him as an American. And perhaps instead of going into our own silos, our own spaces, perhaps let us come together as one body, as he said, all of God's children, regardless of race, creed, etc. So hopefully you had a little something to think about. Hopefully you have a greater understanding of why it's a holiday, of why this man got a holiday. And maybe you can have it as a day on rather than a day off. I thank you. And as always, we're here, we're ready, respectful, and we're safe because we go, we're supposed to go, we're there on time. And each and every day, we're using our God given abilities to do the very best we can. Have a great day. Enjoy your Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I'll see you soon.